who is speaking, helps all children be able to understand speech better and pick up social cues better. So this study was presented a couple of years ago that identifies children using a cochlear implant for single-sided deafness can develop those skills and their sound localization can fall within normal range. So this is looking at 24 months of implant use. And those sound localization skills develop over time, learning to interpret those binaural cues to work out where the sounds are coming from. I thought I would share another story from one of our here peers in Australia. So this is Olivia. Olivia was born with a single-sided deafness before a cochlear implant was one of her options. Then at the age of 17, she was one of that percentage that I talked about, up to 15% of congenitally single-sided deaf children will lose their hearing. So she lost her hearing in her other ear, and she was considered to be a bilateral cochlear implant candidate at that point. So she got both cochlear implants. Now, when you think about that, it's interesting, isn't it? It's a 17-year congenital hearing loss. So she has bilateral cochlear implants, and she says she can hear out of her right CI. She can understand speech. She can identify pitch, but it's not as clear as her left ear. But she always wears both. She absolutely values the input from her right cochlear implant. It really makes a difference for her. Cochlear implants for single-sided deaf people do make a difference, not just in speech perception scores. I feel really strongly about looking at our candidates and our recipients more holistically, and this topic of quality of life has really been calling to me. There is some research out there. I think this topic does deserve more attention in research. So this study here, published in 2017, did look at quality of life changes for people who have a cochlear implant for single-sided deafness. But the tool that was used to measure quality of life really does only look at audiological aspects, ease of communication in background noise and reverberation. What I was interested in when we got this great tool, Hearing Loss Quality of Life Questionnaire, this questionnaire is the first quality of life questionnaire that is validated for use with people with hearing loss that has been based on the World Health Organization's classification of functioning, disability and health. I really like this tool. It's really available and it's just a quick 21 questions. We have it in digital form, so people can complete it online, and it auto-calculates for clinicians, so super easy to use. I wanted to do a little retrospective study. So I asked 5 cochlear implant recipients who got their cochlear implant for single-sided deafness to complete this questionnaire thinking about themselves before they got their cochlear implant and then thinking about themselves now. And these were the outcomes. So you can see I've got a range of years post-implant from 1 year up to 11 years. So you might be thinking, well, is this valid because it's retrospective? I'm asking a person with 11 years of cochlear implant use to rate how they felt 11 years ago, 11 and a half years ago, before they got their cochlear implant. This was really interesting because this recipient said to me, I can remember how I felt so clearly before I got my cochlear implant. It's not a problem for me. I can do this questionnaire. That's how significant the quality of life impacts are from single-sided deafness. What you will notice is that the change pre-cochlear implant to now is significant for all the recipients. Impressive improvements across all of them, especially subject 2 and subject 4, with over 100% growth. Let's look together at a couple of the item level change analysis. So there were 3 questions that were highly responsive to change from the cochlear implant. These were emotional and psychological domains. They have the strongest response to cochlear implantation. So this is something that you can use in your practice. If you are completing this questionnaire with a cochlear implant candidate and seeing low scores in these questions relate to emotion and psychological distress, you can use this data to help counsel. You can say, other people in your position who have chosen a cochlear implant, document measurable change in these questions. Acknowledging, yes, what you're feeling is real and it's common for people with single-sided deafness. Other questions that showed a significant change in response to the cochlear implant are worth taking a look at. So these ones here that look at difficulty hearing in noise, like us now. We can, for example, in traffic, hearing in loud environments, and even during leisure activities. So the cochlear implant provided improvements there. And finally, these ones here, so even in familiar settings, there are significant change through using their cochlear implant. Less feeling of social exclusion and less effort required for concentration and memory tasks. So freely available resource, as I said, I'd encourage you to include this in cochlear implant candidacy evaluations. It really can assist you in counselling patients about the change they might expect. It helps you predict outcomes for a cochlear implant. You could even use it to contribute to intervention timing decisions. So if somebody is scoring with a very low quality of life, that's an indicator that they might want to progress to cochlear implant quite swiftly. And it helps you monitor outcome measurements more holistically. All right, let's dive into rehabilitation. So important topic to discuss pre-implant, and there's some great studies that help guide you with that counselling, having realistic expectations, understanding the factors that affect outcomes. And one of those is participating in structured rehabilitation and home practice. Another significant factor is a minimum of 10 hours a day wear time. What I'd like to do is run you through a number of rehabilitation approaches. And I discussed these when I was doing the little pilot study with the quality of life survey. I discussed the rehab experiences with those 5 subjects and gathered a bit of data about the advantages and limitations of each approach. So number 1 approach for rehabilitation, well, for adults and children, is listening apps. So we really need that auditory training to be streamed direct to implant for our SSD CI users. So listening apps provide a great opportunity for that. The advantage of them is that ones that are specifically built for this purpose, and I'm going to introduce you to our MED-EL app for that, are specifically designed to hierarchically introduce listening to the recipient. They're convenient. Recipients like them because they're self-paced and independent. With our Ready app from MED-EL, we can share, the recipient can agree to be connected to the clinician through the app, and they can share their progress and challenges with their clinician. And with Ready, they can receive custom content. More about that later. Recipients enjoyed using the listening apps. Two of the participants shared with me they really liked having personalised custom content through the Ready app. The limitation, look, they will top out on some of the apps, reaching the end of the content, but by then they're ready for more sophisticated auditory training. Some apps, not Medell's apps, some apps are pay for use, and that was a barrier for some recipients. And some felt a bit lacking in the self-motivation and needed a bit more connection with a clinician. So this is our Medell app, Ready. It's available for free on the App Store and the Play Store. If this is new information for you, I would encourage you to read this blog. You can grab it from the QR code there, or you can just search online Medell blog and the Ready app, and it should come up that way. This is a really great blog. It introduces both the Ready app and the Ready Studio, which is our online platform for clinicians to use. And within this blog, there is a link to our course on the Ready Studio, which is on the Medell Academy. So I'd encourage you to follow up with that later. So let me share with you a couple of possibilities. So this is a really great start for using the Ready app for the Ling sounds. So we really need this to be streamed straight to CI. This is great to do in an audiology appointment so that the audiologist can be reassured that they have mapped the recipient to get access to all of the sounds of speech. I will point out one little logistic hiccup. When the recipient is streaming the sounds to their cochlear implant, and if they get it right, they see this is fabulous, and the clinician will know E was the sound and that's what they heard. If they get it wrong, it's streamed straight to implant. You can't hear it. So you don't know what the recipient heard, and they don't know because they thought, in this case, they thought it was shh. So you need to encourage them to guess again and document it. So if they heard shh, it's not shh, guess a different one. Maybe it was s. Now this is really valuable information for the audiologist because they can then think, okay, they heard shh, but it was actually s. Maybe I need to look at those electrodes around the high frequencies and bump them up a little bit. Really good tool. So in the Ready app, there is both analytic and synthetic exercises in English, and we've got developing content in other languages. I just wanted to quickly explain synthetic and analytic. So synthetic is when we're using whole language approach, words and sentences. It allows the recipient to use their knowledge of how words go together to help them predict what they're listening to. It also provides us with the opportunity to include a cognitive challenge. We also have analytic content. This is content that focuses on specific sounds in words. And research is showing us that including a mixture of synthetic and analytic content is best practice, well, for all recipients, but really important for single-sided deaf cochlear implant recipients. In English, we have the content, the default content in Ready available in an index form. We've got these themed courses and we've got Here at Home index, and we'll provide those in the resource package for you. This study I really like because it fits in with what I believe about Ready can offer our recipients. This study identifies that for people using a cochlear implant for single-sided deafness, they really value a customized approach. So really individualizing your rehab for this demographic is important. Also mentions the importance of outcome measurements, and we can provide all of that using Ready and the Ready Studio. So again, I've put the link there for the blog up the top that will help